Hi, fellow PolyTrippers. I hope you had a productive week, and here's my motivational talk for this coming week. Today, I want to talk about the uncanny valley and how it applies to language learning and people's obsession about sounding like a native and wanting to speak natively and like in a way that's indistinguishable from a native speaker. Let me preface this by saying that I think I speak French pretty decently. It might take someone like who is discerning maybe a couple of minutes before they realize that I'm not French, and that also depends on what different periods. If I go for a long period of time without speaking French, then it's going to be more rusty in the beginning. But when I'm actually in my groove in France, I speak it pretty well, I think. That said, I don't strive to speak like a native, and I don't strive to speak any of the languages that I speak like a native. And here's why. There's this notion of the uncanny valley. And I don't know if for people who haven't heard of it, it's actually computer science. I think it's a computer science term, but it has to do with the notion of somebody that's not something, or somebody or something that's not something, approaching the thing that they're trying to emulate. And let me give you a good example of this. Have you ever seen those lifelike robots? Those robot that with they can mimic the facial expressions and stuff like that. There are studies that have shown that the more lifelike a robot is, the more off-putting and scary and weird it is for people who realize that it's not real. You've probably seen this. If you've seen those Japanese robots that kind of look around and look lifelike, it's kind of like, ooh, that's kind of weird. It's not quite right. Whereas if it's a teddy bear or a stuffed animal or a dragon or something that's not human-like, you don't have that closeness to the real thing, and so you're not freaked out by it. And I find that the same thing is true with people who try to like obsess too much about speaking like a native. If you obsess too much about speaking like a native, you might find that people will notice the slight differences, and it can be kind of, it can all in some ways be more jarring that if you don't try that hard. And so I don't know. I don't feel like I try that hard. I try to have a good pronunciation, but not sound like a native. And I feel like the less I have to worry about that, the less pressure there is on me. And also, it could avoid me getting to the uncanny valley where it's just close but not quite right. Anyway, that's my personal thought. If you disagree with me, I'd love to hear your comments. If you agree, disagree, I don't care. Send me feedback. I love all feedback. Anyway, I hope you have a productive week. Be sure to join us at our Facebook Lives at facebook.com/polytripper. And also be sure to visit our resources page. We have a number of great interactive drills and practices and fun games, which will take your language learning to the next level. And I'll see you all next week.